You're listening to Life Check Yourself with life coach, transformational leader, and dating and relationship badass, Marni Battista. Every week, you'll get the raw truth from top experts and real people on the important life and love issues you want to know about. So if you're ready to life check yourself in your relationships, your career, and the areas of your life that matter most to you, and you're not afraid to be called out on your stuff, then you're ready for what's next.
Life Check Yourself with Rachel Russo. What dating mistakes do women in their 40s make the most? Ladies, welcome. You're going to love this episode. I know I say it every time, but I know that you do. Today, I have Rachel Russo here. She is a veteran of helping high-caliber, marriage-minded singles find and keep love in not just New York City, but all around the country. She's been a matchmaker for 18 years, working full-time as a dating and relationship coach as well. She has a long established history in our industry, providing world-class advice and personalized introductions through her boutique matchmaking and relationship coaching company. She's got a master's degree in marriage and family therapy. So she's not just one of these people that's making it up. Not that there's people in our industry that do that. She's a thought leader in our field. She's a master executive certified matchmaker. She also helps other entrepreneurs learn how to be successful matchmakers. And she is also the mommy of a baby girl who's not a baby anymore because she's going to be 2 soon. And she's loving her mom and entrepreneurial life. So I'm super excited that you're here.
Thank you so much, Marni. You made me sound fabulous with your introduction. So
well, you are fabulous. I mean, look, I have a list of questions I want to ask you, but I want to just go right to the heart of sort of like the conversation that you created most recently online, where people were just like commenting. It did probably, I don't know if it went viral, but it was really, really a big conversation. And I want to talk about that because I think it's a really important thing for, grown-up women who are looking to find love. So tell us the story, set it up. What happened?
Definitely. So, I mean, this is probably not surprising to most women who are familiar with the dating scene and have been on dating apps or gone to matchmakers or just out in the world. But a lot of men do like to date their age or younger. And we find that even more so in the matchmaking world than in the dating app world, where people might be a little more open in general.
Right.
So, matchmakers have to make a living, as do I. So we work with the clients or the potential clients that come to us to see if they are realistic in their criteria, if we can match them, if we can't match them. So I think sometimes in the past, I have worked with people who I was like hoping that it would work out, and I knew that they were difficult. I knew that there were some maybe red flags there, but I'm experienced. As you said, I'm not a new kid on the block. So I have confidence that I know how to manage very difficult personality types. And I have a huge like resource in terms of affiliation with other matchmakers throughout the world, really, through the Global Love Institute, which I've been involved in. And I've been doing this. So, I'll take people sometimes, but lately it's just been, one person after another that was being either referred to me or found me online or something, that their criteria was just very unrealistic. And
so let me interrupt you because I want to have everyone here. Like,
yeah,
what do you think is unrealistic? Because I think that a lot of women have stories in their head, and I think it's important for people to hear from a professional what is realistic and what is not realistic. So paint the picture.
Yes, great. So, there's just so many different ways that we could say, what is healthy or what isn't healthy. And we can make judgments about it. And, I'm not here to say, so this is about age gaps. I'm not here to say that people can't fall in love when there's a big age gap, because they can, and they can have a healthy relationship. But I believe that when the gap gets to be too big, at certain ages, it's just not ideal. And what prompted my post, basically complaining about all the men who want to date women a lot significantly younger, was that in 1 week, I had two gentlemen in their 70s that wanted me to match them with women in their 30s and early 40s. And I'm sorry, I just turned 40. That's unrealistic. That's a grandpa, right? And if this guy is coming and saying that he wants real love, which is what I am looking to match people, not just an arrangement, not just a financial or, kind of thing. I just think that the chances of compatibility would be very low. And if he's saying he's only willing to date women in their 30s. And why would a woman in her 30s be interested in a long-term relationship with a man in his 70s? So that's one thing. And I just got frustrated. So my post was about women being treated as if they're disposable in the dating culture, basically, and men not wanting to go above a certain age, and women maybe not even having a chance to come up in their searches on their dating apps or through a matchmaker, because these men are just really sticking to that narrow and, very limiting age range.
So you bring up a great point. And this is what I hear this all the time. Women are like, oh, I'm 40 or 50, men my age don't want to date me. They want to date 25 or 30-year-olds. And what you said is like, I want to help people who are looking for a loving relationship, not an arrangement. So I'm always telling them, yes, I'm sure there are zillions of men who want to date significantly lower in age than they are. But those aren't the guys that you're looking for if you're looking for a romantic, intimate, deep, connected, long-term relationship. And I want to underscore that because so what Rachel's saying, all of you, is both things are true. There are some of those guys, but they're probably not looking for what you're looking for. And by the way, Rachel, I'm sure there are women in their 30s who want an arrangement and would be happy to date a 70-year-old.
Right. Yes. And they're probably not the women that I want to have in my network. Like, power to them, but that is not the type of matchmaking that I do. And there's sites for everything. So, if that's what they want to do, that's fine. But, a lot of women that are coming to me, even in their 50s, even in their early 60s, it's funny because they get a little more, rigid when they get older about the age range.
Yes.
While they in their 30s or 40s, sure, maybe dating a guy 15 years older would be great. But what they're realizing is if they have to date in the 70s and 80s, are they going to be a caretaker? Right. Are they going to have a sexual relationship? Like, how much are they going to get out to enjoy life? Some of these women have been caretakers their whole life. They might have elderly parents, they've had children, and they don't want it. So, it's funny. It works kind of both ways.
Yeah, totally. It's funny. I have a really good friend who's been on my man panels, really super good looking. I always joke with him, like he's the one of my class, high school class, that is the fine wine. He gets better with age, right? And he's super good looking. And so last February, we met up. He lives in Arizona. We had coffee and he's like, so did you hear, I broke up with my girlfriend because I had heard a rumor. He's my age, 57. He was dating someone who's like 27. And I was like, wow, Greg, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, that's my daughter's age. Anyway, but we had a really, really good conversation about it. And they were compatible in a lot of different ways, right? And it was uncomfortable introducing her to his children. I bet. He goes, but this is what he said the other day. And it was so funny. He goes, but then she did the math after like 6 months. And she was like, if I'm 25 and you're 55, that means when I'm 40 and 50, you're 80. And that's not the life that I want. Right. And she broke up with him. And I think that that's a really important thing and it's normal. Like, don't feel ashamed if you're doing the math, right? If you're 60 and there's a guy that is good looking and active and whatever, and he's 70 and you're like, I don't know if I want to do that. My dad was 70 when he met my stepmom. My mom died. He met my stepmom. She was 60. He was 70. He did die. He died. They had 8 or 9 years together. My favorite line she ever said, if you die, I'm going to kill you.
That's pretty cute.
But for her, she made the decision, right? Like, I would rather have this person for this time. And so talk to me, like, when you're thinking about those age things and value, like, how do you help your clients make those decisions when they come to you? If a woman comes to you and she's like 55 or 60, how do you help her sort out, like, what are her non-negotiables in this area?
Yeah, I think it's very important to know yourself before you get out there into the dating scene and know what your values are and what is most important to you and really like how you want to spend your life. And I absolutely agree. It's okay if you say like, that's not for me. It's better to really know that and have that self-awareness than to get into a relationship with someone and decide after they get sick or whatever that you don't want to take care of them. Like, you could have avoided that and you both could have been with someone that you actually want to be with. So just knowing what your life looks like. I know you're doing such amazing travels. I see on your Facebook and being so nomadic. So that's something I ask people. Do you want to like have roots somewhere and stay in a certain community and have that type of, local presence and be there and build houses and whatever? Or have you been there, done that? Do you want to travel? Do you want to have living between, a couple different locations? That could look very differently. And as people get midlife and older, are they still working? Are they retired? Are they semi-retired? Are they volunteering? How involved are they in their children's lives is another one. And what are the expectations with family as well? So getting very clear on those things, I think mean a lot. This is like lifestyle and alignment of vision for the future, which I do try to encourage people to look outside like the actual hobbies. So, if they want someone who skis or they want someone who plays tennis, that's great, but they can always do that with a friend or a league or something. But what they really need is that core compatibility on how they want to live and how they want to be in the relationship.
I think this is so important. I was watching the Golden Bachelor, which is, I'm sure, like so many people are. And I was watching the episode where they do the little hometown visits. And I think Gary, I can't remember her name. Maybe her name was Faith. I can't remember, but she lives on a farm in Eastern Washington. Okay. And he lives in like Indiana, I think, right? Like pretty metropolitan. She's like super rural. Her children live there. Her grandchildren live there. He ends up not picking her. Spoiler alert, but you probably all watched it. But anyway, as it was going on, my husband and I were having this conversation. I'm like, I think he really loves her, but like, I don't think he sees himself living on a ranch. Like she has horses, right? She rides horses. And I don't think she has the interest to leave that lifestyle and her grandkids and her kids. And so I think that's a whole other issue when you get into a certain age group of like, if you don't date in your same city, then like those are really big things that people are having to consider. So would you recommend that people really try and stay within their geographical range, or are you limiting yourself if you do that?
This is a tough question because things are changing so rapidly, obviously, with the work from home culture since the pandemic and so many people like relocating to different suburbs. And I think geography is limiting, obviously, in some ways. Like if you're in a city where you're always going on the apps and you're seeing the same people all the time over years and years, you might even run out of matches. If it is a community that you've been in for a long time and you've had no luck, I don't think it's out of the question to consider dating in other cities or even potentially relocating for love. If this is something really important to you, you would do that for a job. So why not think about doing that for a relationship? I believe place is very important. It really shapes us. And if someone is in an area where they're absolutely miserable, a lot of people that moved out of the cities and into the rural areas, I was just reading I think Business Insider or something, I was reading an article there. Some of them want to move back and some of them have wanted to move back because it's just not the same. And they're feeling isolated, especially when they're single and they were used to living with friends and like going out a lot. So, if you take someone out of their comfort zone, whether it's city, suburb, rural, and you put them in a relationship and they don't know anyone else there, that could be very even dangerous if it's an abusive relationship and you're relying on your partner for all of your fulfillment. That's obviously not good. So I think finding cities that you may be interested in would be a good idea. Like what places speak to you and your values that you might want to actually live in. And then if your location isn't working, just trying to go visit there and meet people, or even if you are on an app, like switching to that travel mode, going there, connecting with people there and just getting a feel for what the dating scene is. It's probably not a bad idea.
I love that. Okay, now let's switch to a completely different demographic, because I also know you're passionate about this. And I've had a lot of clients in the last year who are single moms by choice, actually in the last 10 years. And they come in and they're like, oh, nobody would want me. Like, people are going to think there's something wrong with me, that I had to have a kid on my own. No one's going to want to, I don't have like a custody arrangement. So my kid's with me all the time. And I know that as a single mom by choice, you're like, I want to start making sure that these women know that they are totally dateable, and that, there is no shame, right? It's a different era. It's a different time. There's more women than ever that are single moms by choice. So what are you doing to sort of like serve this niche? And can you talk to those concerns a little bit based on your experience?
Sure. I love this question. I'm really still trying to figure this out. I've only been a solo mom by choice for 2 years now, and it has been a very exciting and rewarding journey. What I'm doing actually has been sharing my story a lot on Instagram and social media. And I even created a Facebook group for solo moms by choice and other single moms as well. So it is specifically for women that are seeking high caliber single men, whether they're dads or not. And we're just kind of sharing different stories, articles, relevant experiences, screenshots, whatever it is, we'll be staying in the group. I also actually recently wrote an article I'm excited about that's going to be out in December for Pregnant-ish. And if anyone's familiar, this is my second article with them. The first one I wrote is relevant. It was actually about how single moms by choice could actually upgrade their love life, that it could be better for them because of various reasons. One of them that I discovered is that your time is so limited. And sometimes you would rather like read a book or take a shower or go to the gym than to go on a date. And the self-care piece is really important. So you become more selective with your time and you have more priorities, and you're really, I know I really stepped into like that mama bear energy, and I really want to be so protective. And maybe I didn't look at people like that before as much. So, you look at things so much clearer. At least that's been my experience. So I've been trying in my Facebook groups and these articles that I'm writing to kind of like educate people on the benefits of it. I think that I probably see it a little different than the average woman because of being a matchmaker and a dating coach for all these years. So I kind of chose this from a perspective with more confidence and more like, okay, I have to do this because if I don't, I might miss out on the opportunity to have a baby. And that's what I saw, unfortunately. I saw a lot of women in their 30s and 40s when I was younger who were coming to me as a matchmaker, very ambitious, career-oriented, successful women, but didn't have a partner, hadn't even thought about freezing their eggs and their fertility or any of that, but wanted to have all these kids. And I thought, okay, I'm not going to be that person. So I got to get a move on this. And I saw it as like, okay, well, men are going to still find me desirable when I want to. And I have like all the time in the world to actually find love. But I don't have all the time. I just have this small window to have a baby biologically anyway. So that was like motivating for me. And it just kind of was empowering. So I want to spread that message of empowerment to these solo moms. There are a lot of challenges. I don't mean to make like it's all rainbows and butterflies. And I'm discovering that too. So a lot of what they're probably telling you is really valid. Like,
yes, for sure.
Expect like, oh, well, when are you free to meet for a drink? I got that. And first of all, I was like, well, I don't even drink because I'm still breastfeeding. So there's that. Second of all, I'm not going to go out at night with you. I need to like meet you during the day for lunch or coffee. I'm not going to get a babysitter for someone that I don't even know. So I think a lot of single moms realize that, and there could be a lot of pushback, I think, and men who are frustrated at the lack of availability or the unwillingness to make them the priority right away. But you know what? That's not the guy for them then, because he can't come in and be in the like top 2 priorities when she doesn't even know him and she's a mom by choice.
Which is really cool, actually, because what you said about being discerning, right? It's not about being picky. It's about being discerning, right? And there's such a good filter. It's almost like the pretest, like setting a boundary. And I think that the way that when you don't have that responsibility, you are less discerning. You're like, I'll meet him for coffee. I'll do, right. But when your time is really precious, you get to be a lot more discerning. So whether you have, that responsibility on your own or not, I think that this is valid for all women who are dating, is like, as if you did have less time and if you could be more discerning. The other thing I always tell my clients, well, I work with them a lot on like getting rid of that shame story, because that's not going to serve you. When I was single, I had an ex-husband, but I had 3 small kids. And I remember writing out like who I wanted. And I would go out on all these dates with divorced men, and there was a whole custody thing. When do you have your kids? When do you have kids? Da, da, da. Like, would you have all your kids at the same time? Would you have them at a different time? And I remember writing this thing, and I was like, well, if I could have it any way I want a guy who doesn't have kids, doesn't want kids, but loves kids.
That's perfect.
I was like, I know that's crazy. And that's what I got.
That's what you got. I love it. I mean, that actually sounds good to me. I mean, you get really, I think when you're a mom, you just really start thinking about things, because then you're like trying to fit the guy with your family, and you're like, oh, well, if his kids are in college, I mean, this was my thing.
Yeah.
If his kids are in college, how present and excited is he going to be about a 2-year-old? Maybe there's some men that are, and I don't want to limit people, but I would think it's ideal to have younger kids. And then I would think, oh no, maybe it's ideal to have no kids.
Well, it's really something to think about, right?
Yeah.
But what's great is my husband. So my youngest was 6 when I met my husband, and they're so close. I mean, he's close with all of them, but he has a very special bond with my youngest because, she was 6. But he'll say, oh my God, I had the best deal ever. I totally got a family. I never had to change one diaper. And I'm like, oh, just wait till you're grandpa. Right. But for him, he's like, I never would have done it on my own, And so I just want everyone to hear that, like, I always say this, there is a man out there who's like literally has his own, like, I really love to have a family, but I don't want to have kids. Yeah. There's some guy, you're his dream girl. And so don't let the story about, being divorced 3 times or having a 2-year-old and having him on your own. Like, don't let all that, because there's a guy out there who, like, you're his dream girl. So I think that this is an important conversation, because I'm sure, and tell me, like, when people come to you, what are some of the narratives, limiting belief stories that they have about meeting their ideal guy that you have to like talk them out of, that you have to tell them the truth?
There's so many. I mean, I think one actually light bulb was going off in my head as you're talking. So I'll address the solo mom piece first and then go into all women. But the number of kids, like, you're an inspiration, Marni, because a lot of people would be like, oh no, 3 kids, that's too much. They seem to think a guy might be willing to accept 1 child, but beyond that, they think like, oh no, because there might be an implication that the guy would not want to provide financially for child that's not his. So that's something to think about, that there are men that are willing to help out and step into that role. And it doesn't matter. The number of kids doesn't have to stop you. So that's one thing.
I think that's huge. And also being really upfront, clear, like, I'm not looking for a provider. I'm looking for a partner, financially. And also, like, and I always tell my clients to have these conversations, because they will date men with small kids and they're going to come like, no, I don't want to deal with that. I'm like, well, did he tell you had to like fully step into like full-time mom?
Yeah.
No. Does these children have a mother? Yes. So maybe you should talk about what his vision is for a blended family. So I just wanted to point that out.
That's a really good point. I mean, one of the biggest things is the miscommunications and people making assumptions, and they should ask for clarity, or they might be missing out on a really good person. But when I think about women, what the narratives are, I think it's like either being too much or not enough. That's what I would say. Like, it's so sad, but it's like, okay, I'm not pretty enough, or I'm not smart enough, or I'm overweight, or I don't have enough money, or, all these kinds of things. Some people think this is kind of like a taboo topic. People don't really talk about money as much in dating, but sometimes women think, oh, I have all this debt. I have student loan debt. I have credit card debt. No man is going to want me to have all this debt. I can't get married until I get rid of this debt. And there might be a guy that's like willing to help you pay off your student loans. So there's that. Or maybe he has his own debt, and it doesn't have to be this like dirty, dark secret, but something that you could work on together as a couple. So a lot of things will hold women back. So I think that's kind of like the myth, being too much or not enough. And the not good enough is kind of like a thing that a lot of people have. It's like that core wound from childhood.
Right.
But also, am I losing my train of thought? Oh, I had something so good.
That's okay. It'll come.
It'll
Definitely come back.
Yeah.
All of these things, like I would love for lady, the name of the show is Life Check Yourself, which means that you need to go back and like check yourself. Because I think what we've talked about here are like really important things that most people skip in dating, which is actually preparing, right?
Yeah.
Like at the beginning, you addressed all these lifestyle choices that you need to intentionally and consciously make before you set out. Now we're talking about like having clarity to ask questions and not make up assumptions when you are dating later in life and you have assets, debt, children, in-laws, elderly parents. Because I don't know about you, but I've heard people like, oh, I can't date him. I mean, his parents are elderly and he's driving an hour, twice a week to go see his aging parents. And I'm like, okay, pause. Because people are so focused on ruling people out. When you're coaching people, how do you help them? Like, tell me about like the unconscious ways women sabotage themselves by just being no.
Yeah. I mean, it's very hard. You have to strike that balance because we do have to rule people out, but we can't make these premature judgments. And a lot of the sabotaging has to do with these superficial things. So like in the example that you gave, I wonder what they're thinking. Like, is it that he's not going to have enough time for them because he's too involved in the relationship with the parents, instead of looking at the positive, like, okay, this is a caring guy.
Right.
Taking care of family. He will take care of me or my family. Like, he has a good heart. So they're not looking enough at the positives. They're going right for the negatives. And a lot of times it has to do with looks. And I mean, I have women that are older that really shouldn't be so picky about men not having hair. There's a lot of men. I mean, okay, if that's your only deal breaker that you can't date a bald guy, fine. But if you're going to have a ton of other kind of criteria and then also not date a bald guy, you're doing yourself a disservice. The other thing is height. Now I'm 5'10", so I totally get like not wanting to be towering over a man, but most of the women that are asking for super tall guys, 6 foot and above, they're like 5'5", and they can still wear heels. And I know there's something in there about attraction. So I don't want to kind of like disqualify. There's certain things we need to feel that romantic spark, but I think there needs to be more flexibility. The other thing, actually, it came back to me. It was about timing.
Yes,
it was about timing. And everybody sort of has, especially the time of year of the holidays, there's always like an excuse like, oh, I can't date anyone now. I can't start dating until January or February or, after Valentine's Day or after the new year or whatever it is, because men act weird at this time and there's too much pressure at this time and there's gift giving and what are you doing on New Year's Eve? And I don't want to deal with that. And it's better to put it off. But then there's always timing, like I need to lose 20 pounds or I need to finish my degree or whatever it is. It's like they're always putting it off and waiting for the perfect time and then finding there actually is no perfect time.
There is no perfect time. I tell people like you are getting ready to roll into the best time to date. I don't know what the latest statistics are, but January 1st or 2nd is like going to the gym for dating, right? Like everyone's turning over the new leaf, lots more people online, lots more people open, ready, excited. And if you have a coach or a mentor, then you can navigate through all of those challenges because they're really just excuses. Someone said to me, I said it in a podcast a couple of weeks ago, but it's worth repeating. Don't let your excuses steal your dreams. One of
Mhm.
my clients said that's why she wanted to work with me, is because she was tired of letting her excuses steal her dreams. And I think that is so true, because like, it's the end of the year. If you're listening to this live, whenever you're listening to it, like, literally go back, look at your calendar for the last, 7 months, and look at it and see, like, when were you not busy?
Yeah. Yeah. We're always
Right? We're
constantly.
always busy. So that is a delusional, like, unconscious sabotaging behavior of waiting for this magical time where you're skinny, you have open time on your calendar. They created the latest app that there's only quality men on it. Like, no, like, that's not going to happen. So you have to sort of like stand up and get in charge. So last thing I want to talk about. So if people are going to get ready to date, what do you think is going to serve them the best, so that they actually put their best selves out there? When you work with men, you help match men. What are men looking for in that creates that spark that makes someone it?
So, I mean, the easy thing would be to say looks and improving their image, which they absolutely should do. And they should have the best photos possible. And they should have clothing that they're going to wear to a date that they feel attractive in and that works for them. So they should do that. But it's beyond just like the external makeover.
Yep.
I think they need to actually feel like good about themselves and their life. And again, it doesn't mean that the life has to be perfect, but their life has to be in a place where they can go out and be in like this fun, feminine energy. That is what I keep hearing men say. And it's just not about looks. But I just got an email from a client yesterday saying that, women have lost their femininity. And, we keep hearing like that's a whole narrative too, but they want to be able to go on dates and be present and be having fun conversation. I think that's what men really want. They don't want the negativity, and they don't actually want, to just be with someone that's always going to be talking about work or being in like that masculine doing energy, but more of that feminine energy. So whatever it takes, and this is where obviously working with a coach comes in, because you have to figure out what it takes to get you in that space. Because as women, we're out of the feminine all the time because we're in the
We're getting
world.
shit done. Yeah.
So we have to figure out how to like turn it on and turn it off and just be, enjoying our life in that receiving kind of space.
I think that's so important. I want to add a couple things about the image, and then I want to talk about the inside part.
Yeah.
I have encountered so much resistance around the physical appearance, whether it's that like I'm really good at fashion, I know, or I already have, I have my work clothes, that's good enough. Right. Or, I'm too XYZ, so I have to just wear big black shirts with leggings. Right. And when I can get someone to work with our stylist and we can put together, the whole thing, they're like, holy shit, I'm actually attractive. I could be attractive, And so like, not everyone can go out and do that, but like, go to a department store. Like most big department stores do have shoppers or stylists or professionals that can help you choose clothes. You don't even have to buy them there.
True.
You can just try on some things and then go to some place that's in your range or order some things online. But I think it's worth understanding that there's a huge myth, just cover it up. And no one will notice, and that you are doing a huge disservice to yourself. I know that you have lots of clients who are curvy who meet men, and lots of men who date curvy women, and same for me. So again, don't let that excuse be your reason not to do something. Like, be a grown-ass woman, get over yourself, and learn how to like put your expression of who you are manifest externally.
Definitely. I love that. And I just want to like wrap up with this really little funny anecdote to prove your point and just
Great
women. The time I experienced the most resistance was actually in Brooklyn a few years ago. I did a talk for divorced women, and one of the questions came up similar to what you're asking. So, what can they do to increase their chances of going from first dates to second dates? Like, because they were going on a lot of first dates and not leading to relationships. And I said to work on your image and to like look the part, be attractive, be as attractive as you can be while staying authentic. And I told one woman to blow out her hair. And I used it very nicely, very kindly as an example. She got so mad and the whole group got so mad. And they said that was false advertising because she can blow out her hair for the first date, but it's never going to look like that again because she's never blowing out her hair for a man. And I said, okay, well, maybe there's a man that will love your curly hair. And I know this could be a sensitive issue for some. Curly hair is attractive, straight hair is attractive,
Right.
whatever. But I felt, that this can make a difference. And she just said, no, she's not doing it. So I don't know if she's still single or what. But the importance of this is that you don't have to look every day. Like, okay, you look how you look on the first date. You have to make effort. You have to, if the man doesn't feel that spark, he's not going to fall in love with your personality. He needs to feel romantic.
He's a dude. Like, let's just understand. Yeah.
You don't need to blow out your hair every day once they're already in love with you and see how amazing you are. But sometimes you need to blow out your hair. So that was the point, and she missed the boat, and it's okay. But it's an example, like, do what you can with what you've got.
It's funny that you said that, because like literally before I even became a coach, I love Matt Boggs. I promote him all the time. He's another dating coach. And I actually was single. It was before I did anything. And I went to this seminar that he did. And I remember it was about sleeping with someone. And I was 40 or something at the time. And I raised my hand and I was like, I'm just like middle-aged horny chick. Like, I'm not gonna you're not gonna tell me what to do. Like, if I want to sleep with people, whoever I want to sleep with. And he literally Dr. Phil'd me, and he was like, well, how's that working for you? And I was like, well, actually, it's not working for me at all. But someone had to tell me the truth.
Yes.
Right. And I think we get so caught up sometimes in like, I'm not going to do this, and I would say, like, because I have clients too, we do their photos and everything. And they ask me like, oh, but I don't normally look like this. And
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, it's a marketing campaign. Like, go into Sephora, go into Sephora. The ingredients in the products are probably pretty similar.
Yeah.
You're going to be gravitating toward the packaging that is resonant for you.
That's very true.
And you're going to be like, oh, wow. And you're going to open it, and then you're going to read the ingredients, right? But you're not even going to read the ingredients or pick it up off the shelf if the packaging isn't interesting to you. So,
example,
and that's a really important thing, right? And if you're looking for a high quality guy, the other story I like to say is go to the drugstore. There's the drugstore brand and there's the L'Oreal brand, right? And yeah, you'd like to spend $3 less, but if you're interested in the high quality, that's your brand, right? And it's $3 more and the packaging is a little nicer and whatever, you don't care about the $3. You just don't want to buy the Kirkland brand. And no offense to anyone who does. I do it all the time. But what I'm saying is, it's marketing. It's a big, wide world. And so the image piece is really important. And the thing that you want to do is bring your authentic light to the image. And then that's golden. So you can't dress yourself up and be a bitch, right? Or be needy, right? You have to like put the whole thing together. Okay. So let's finish talking about the internal stuff and that femininity. If you could just give someone one tip about what they might be doing. They think they're being feminine, but maybe they're not. What do you see when you talk to men?
That's a tough one. They think they're being feminine, but maybe they're not. Okay. Maybe it is initiating like flirty conversation with guys.
Yes.
Yeah. I think the feminine approach would be to kind of let the guy lead. And what I've been saying a lot is like match his energy, because you might not think that you're being overeager or desperate or anything like that. But if you're the one who's initiating all of the flirty texts, then he might perceive it that way, that you're more into him than he is to you. And I think men like to lead a lot of the times if they're masculine energy men. So let them do that.
And then show up flirty.
Yes. Show up.
And
Always
playful.
show up. Yeah.
Playful.
Totally.
I love it.
And your words too, your text messages, everything. Like,
Everything
always
counts.
try to find a way to like put the flirt power on.
I love that. There's, people say like, oh, dating is hard. Nothing works for me. And if you listen to this episode 5 times, you will probably have a list of 50 things that you could improve upon. So rather than your sad story that dating is hard and nothing works for you, look at all the ways you can empower yourself to learn a new skill and be more of you and be a better dater. Because men are coming to Rachel saying, please help me find a woman. So help yourself be found.
Yes. Good advice. Really good advice.
Rachel, I'm so glad you're here. You are such a treasure trove of real life experience and knowledge. And I love that you work with men and women because you get to see like the behind the scenes in the mindsets of both of the people who just really want to find love and connection. And to remember, you heard it from Rachel. So what that some guys want to date women 30 years younger. They're not your guy. They're just not your guy. There's a website for those women. Let them go there. They can all be happy together. Ladies, life check yourself. Remember that there is possibility. You are enough. You are not too much. You can follow me on Marni Battista _ on Instagram and Marni Battista on Facebook. And where can people find you? And we'll have all your details in the show notes, Rachel, but give them a little.
So my website is rachelrusso.com. And my Instagram is rachel.russo. So everything is on the website though. They'll be able to connect on the social media platforms or email me. That would be wonderful. Thank you so much for the compliment. I love that. And for having me on here.
I love it. I love to talk to really qualified experts. It's just this every week. I'm like to everyone, this is the best episode yet. You've got to listen. And this one's totally in that category. Yeah. And all of Rachel's info will also be in the show notes. You should definitely watch this on YouTube where you could see my reactions, my facial reactions to all these things where I'm like, yes. Besides my lovely auditory exclamations. And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye for now.
Okay.
Hey, thanks for tuning into today's show. So if being in an intimate relationship in which you feel 100% seen, heard, and accepted by a high caliber man is a priority for you right now, and you're interested in seeing if you're a fit for working with me and my team at Dating with Dignity, here's what I want you to do. Just head over to DWD VIP, that's D as in dating, W, D as in dating, VIP.com, and book a call to speak with my team. We'll get on the phone with you for about 60 minutes and you'll get crystal clear on what's stopping you from finding true love right now. We'll also take a look at what you want to create, what you want your whole life to look like when you're able to finally be fully expressed as a woman in a healthy relationship with an incredible guy. And if we can help you get from where you are right now to where you want to be, we will show you the fastest path possible that makes sense for you to do that. We help smart, successful women all over the world solve this one missing piece in their life so they can finally have it all. So to see if we can help you do the same thing, head over to DWDVIP.com. I'm Marni Battista, and let's talk soon.